guys, we'll go ahead and get started here in a minute. Thank you for being here. Thanks for coming tonight. All right. Oh, thank you very much. There we go. This isn't amplified. This is just for the live stream, but I'm going to hold it so like it is. Well, thank you for being here tonight. It's a very special evening with Alisa Harvey. We're here to celebrate her and her running. But I'll kick it off and say a couple words. I'll invite Dr. Gordine from Kaiser Permanente up to say a few words, and then I'll give it over to Rafaela will introduce Alisa, and you guys will have a conversation about your career and your book and everything. Oh, there's my alarm to call my mom. Very professional. Did you get that, Ethan? All right. And thank you everyone who's tuning in online as well. So my name's Dustin. I'm executive director at Light Horse Track Club. We're here at PR Run and Walk, so thank you PR for hosting this event. Very grateful for their support. They're such a good partner, and this is such a great venue to be able to host a community event like this. Kaiser Permanente is here, and we're very thankful for their support. And they're sponsoring the hydration station tomorrow at the Run and Bridle Track Fest, which will be a very popular spot because I think it's going to be kind of warm. I don't know. Forecast keeps changing, but I think it's going to be a little bit toasty. So appreciate you all for sponsoring us and sponsoring the track meet. It means so much to our organization. And tonight we're here to celebrate Alisa and her great career. You know, one of our goals at Light Horse is to really build community. Running, by and large, is one of the few things kind of left in our society where you can build true community. And beyond that, I really believe that track is that times 10. Track is such a unique sport, and it has such a unique place in the sport of running. You know, tomorrow at Run and Bridled, we'll have over 400 runners. We'll have that many spectators. They're all in a confined area. They're all there to watch some, you know, their friends or family race or some professional runners race, but they're all there to partake in the sport of running, the sport of track. So I'm just so happy to be in a position to elevate the sport, build the sport, and grow community in the DMV. And this is a really good example of what we're doing here, celebrating Alisa and her career and everything. That's one thing we want to do as well, you know, shine a spotlight on those who came before us. We stand on your shoulders. What you built is what we're working off of. You wouldn't know this, but in the 90s, when you were racing at George Mason's indoor track, I was there, just hanging out. Like, wow, these people are really fast. I didn't know people could run this fast on a flat indoor track like that. They didn't have bank tracks back then. But that was such an inspiration to me as a teenager. And it really laid the path down to what we're doing today. So, you know, what you were running in the 90s brings us to present day. It really does. It's a very full circle thing. So really appreciate you being here. We're going to go ahead and get on with the program because no one wants to hear me speak. You could laugh at that. I don't know. All right, I'm gonna pass it over to Dr. Gordine at Kaiser Permanente. She is a board-certified physician in family medicine and sports medicine at Kaiser Permanente. Dr. Gordine earned her medical degree from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill School of Medicine, completed her residency and fellowship at the University of Maryland Medical Center, Baltimore. She specializes in injury prevention, sprain management, concussion care, and rehabilitation, supporting athletes from youth to adulthood through their recovery and return to activity. All right.
Thank you, Dustin. Thanks for having me. Super excited to be here to celebrate you, Alisa. As he said, I'm Dr. Gordine. I work at Kaiser. I work primarily in the office in Washington, D.C., as well as in Silver Spring. And I don't know, are there any Kaiser members here? Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, hopefully several of you will consider joining us one day. I think one of the main things I love about Kaiser is just the convenience and access that our members have to care. So, for example, a patient might be referred to me for, a runner might be referred to me for knee pain or lower leg pain. When they come in to see me in sports medicine, they're having a visit with both me and a physical therapist. And me and the physical therapist, we're evaluating their injury, we're looking at the athlete's mechanics, and we're working together to build a treatment plan for them and help them with their rehab and return to running. And so I think having that convenient access, that dual appointment is really nice. Another example might be someone with foot pain or ankle pain. They might go in to see their primary care physician. The primary care physician in that same visit can order an x-ray. The patient can go get that x-ray that same day in the same building. They can get a referral to physical therapy. They might even get a referral to see a podiatrist, and the podiatrist is often in the same building. And so you don't have to worry about traveling to different locations, taking off of work to schedule more appointments. You have everything in one localized place, and I think that's really nice, convenient, efficient care that our patients often really love and appreciate. So yeah, thanks again for having me, and I will turn it over to you, Lisa.
Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad you guys are here, and thank you guys so much for coming. And for me, this is a huge honor because Alisa has been a huge part of my life. She used to be my coach when I was 8 years old. I used to run the running store when I was a kid, and that's how I started to run and track and run cross country. And it just feels super full circle now that I get to be here, and I love it. So welcome, everyone, for being here. I'm so glad we get to sit with one of the DMV's greatest middle distance runners. And I'm so glad that we also are partnering with Girls on the Run of North Virginia. We have our amazing light horse track runner and one of my really good friends, Sammy. She works for Girls on the Run, so please feel free to talk to her. She's amazing and she does a lot. And also we do have a really nice donation option here, so please feel free if you feel to. All the money goes towards them, so that way it can help give more opportunities to girls to run. And I used to run Girls on the Run, so I'm very passionate about that as well. And please feel free if you guys have any questions. Feel free. We'll have a Q&A at the end, so you guys are more than welcome to ask Alisa any questions at the end. But Alisa Harvey, being one of the best middle distance runners in the United States, but also in Virginia. She was a 1986 NCAA champion, the 1500 meters, ranked U.S. top 10 for 8 straight years, reaching number 1 in 1993, and is a 2-time Fifth Avenue Mile champion and inductee of the National Black Distance Running Hall of Fame. Super excited, so please welcome Alisa Harvey. So, Alisa, we are super excited for your book, and I have so many awesome questions, but my first question I wanted to ask you was, you grew up right here in Arlington, Virginia, and you grew up in the DMV running as a young runner. What really shaped your running career growing up, and how did you get to where you are now, and just everything that led up to this moment?
For me, what shaped my running was the presidential physical fitness testing. I don't know if any of you guys know what that is. Yes, back in my day, and I think starting in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, you had to do this test of a few different events: flexed arm hang, pull-ups for the boys. You do a shuttle run, you did a 600-yard run, and you did a 50 meters, maybe something else. So in that, because in my childhood, I didn't just live in Arlington, but I lived in Woodbridge, Dale City. I lived in Centerville, Fairfax, Alexandria, and Annandale. I lived all over the Northern Virginia area. So that was my kind of thing. Because I came to a school, like new schools, every year, literally. I was always known as the girl that could run fast or could stay on the flexed arm hang forever. And I would get the records in every school I went to. And what I realized was that was kind of my cue that maybe there's something to this, because I literally would be like, only one boy would beat me at the events in the 600 yards. So when I got to middle school and high school, I went out for the track team.
Oh, that's so amazing. And what did you found, well, early in that process, what did you find in running that kept you going? Like, running, as you know, it's always supposed to be fun, but when it got really hard, or even when life just got really hard, how were you able to push through that struggle and still not only have a well-balanced routine of training and going after your goals, but also taking care of yourself in the best way and dealing with everything?
Oh gosh. Well, I made some mistakes, but I was always kind of an introverted, on my own kind of girl. And then back in those days, there weren't computers to access anything. So I would take it upon myself to learn about things that I wanted to do. For instance, I wanted to be an Olympic gymnast. So I would walk the 3/4 of a mile to the library and get books on gymnastics and track and field. I also wanted to be Wilma Rudolph, who was a sprinter, so I was going to be a sprinter and a gymnast. Okay, so I just literally, I would make things happen, because I was, even though I had three other siblings, I was kind of always on my own because we're always moving, so it was just me. And I found a way to entertain myself through sports, and with that, going to the library, I learned a lot about nutrition. Even back in the day, there's a little bit about, nutrition is kind of in its early stage in sports nutrition, but I learned that you had to eat right and take vitamins. I saw a commercial on TV with one-a-day vitamins, and I had to buy those. So I did all the things that I would learn from TV or the library, or we also had encyclopedias at home. So that is how I kind of built my own little self-motivated fitness program and became a runner.
Oh, I love that. And definitely take your vitamins. I sometimes forget to take my vitamins, but that's like the secret medicine, is just like that little thing that makes you 10 times better. And you actually set a school record at TJ, at Thomas Jefferson, and then you went on to Tennessee, where you're part of an NCAA 4x8 relay. What did that team environment feel like at its best, and how was it to go to Tennessee, coming from Northern Virginia, to such a big school environment?
Ooh. So the transition to college was a tough one for me, because I had a lot of top talent. Tennessee, at that time in 1983, there were only a few NCAA top Division I women's programs. And Tennessee was one of them, of like 4. And so I had some of the best runners in the nation to run and train with. And at that time, the 84 games was coming up that summer. So I was literally on the track as a freshman training against soon-to-be Olympians. So things got big real quickly. My grades didn't go well, and I got really heavy because I was in a beautiful cafeteria with Southern food, and I was eating biscuits and eggs and that I had never seen before, and I didn't do as well in the first part of my cross-country season. So literally by the time I finished my freshman year, even though I got myself together and I ended up winning the SECs in the 1500 and doing well enough to go to the NCAAs, I still was ready to quit and go home. And I did. I quit Tennessee. I left school, and it didn't go as well. Even though we had that 4x8 big championship race at the NCAAs, I still was so disheartened by the experience of being like this underdog. There's barely anything there on the track because I wasn't the Olympian. We had Benita Fitzgerald Mosley, who was who was the gold medalist. Yes. She was there training at the track that time. So I literally told the athletic director that I'm not coming back to Tennessee and I wasn't going to go to college anymore. Mm-hmm. So a month later, the head coach came to where I live in Alexandria, and asked me to come back to Tennessee. So it was a tough start at college, but I did come back.
And that's so awesome that a coach cared enough to come where you are and ask you to come back. So how was that like, having someone come down to you and be like, I see that potential in you, so I'm not ready to quit you just yet. Like, I want you to see you first. Like, how did you see that? That
was one of those lifetime kind of heartfelt moments, because he did become a great friend and mentor to me, Coach Schwartz. And I had a very good year. I won the NCAA championships. After he came back, he boosted my confidence, and I won the NCAAs the following year, and I had a great year my senior year. So he did save me as far as that. So it's wonderful for an athlete. There's a lot of luck in becoming a champion, if you will. It's not always how it's going to go as you hope, and sometimes there's other people to help you along, and he was one of those.
That's so awesome. And like I told you earlier, you were one of my favorite coaches growing up. I mean, I was at that point where I didn't even know what like cross country was. I didn't even know what like distance running was. I was like, I just want to run. And it was cool that at the time, like I knew you were such a fast runner, but now I'm all older. I was like, oh, I was in the presence of like this amazing legend. So how did you take your experience into coaching? Like, how were you able to give people like me that best experience at a young age of loving the sport and then becoming really good?
I think because as I went through the ranks of being an elite, I made my mistakes. I had good coaches, bad coaches as the years went by. And I learned so much, again, from my childhood, from learning. And even still, as time went on, I learned more and more. Never stopped learning. And so when I got to the point where coaching was a possibility, I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to be the person who can see talent and help it along. And so that's why I got into coaching, is that I can, as with my experience, I can see talent and I can see where, oh, don't do that because that's going to mean you're not going to come back. And if you do this, yeah. So I could see things because I've been in the sport so long. I wanted to give that back to somebody because I saw how valuable it was for me, as what it's done for me in my life.
That's so awesome. And during your Olympic goal and your Olympic dream, what was that training like? Like, what do you think is the biggest thing to have mentally and physically when it comes to training? Like, discipline is, of course, the biggest thing, but what helped you stay committed to your goal and to dream and never give up?
Oh boy, that's a loaded one. So, yeah, for me, literally, I had 88, 92, 96, 4 Olympic trials. I did not make the team and became very, very close in a couple of them. So a lot of it's luck. It's not always the most talented athlete makes the top 3. Things can happen that you would not expect, that shouldn't happen. And then there's life can get in the way. Relationships and things. So for me, wait, what was your question again?
It was like, what was your biggest motivator of keeping going when things got hard during your that big type of training cycle, like a big dream that you have and try to go after it? Like faith is like a big one for me, like very, very big on my faith, or even just relying on my support system too. Was that kind of like for you as well?
I relied on Alisa a lot is what I did. I really felt that I had a goal and nothing was going to stop me. No bad relationship, no crazy coach, or no heat issue. I had a really bad issue with heat illness. And as we all know, the Olympic Games are in the summertime.
Yes.
And at the trials, they're Atlanta, New Orleans.
Yes.
Where was it? Indianapolis. So the Olympic trials are always in July, and I had a heat stroke when I was a teenager, 16 years old. And once you have a heat stroke, doctor, you know this, you're always prone to have another one. The gauge is not back to where it used to be. So you have 3 rounds in each event, or at least in the 800 meters, 1500 meters, you have 3 different races, the trials, the first round, second round, and the finals. And I would be good until the finals, and then I would have a little bit I didn't have, those other girls had it. So my top 6, my whatever other place I came into, didn't make the team. I still wanted to come back and try it again 4 years later. That's what kept me going.
That's so awesome, and I love that. And your book is amazing. All my trials, such an amazing book, and I'm so glad that you were able to produce something that was, I bet, of course, super vulnerable, but also very liberating at the same time. So what was that journey like, sitting down and writing a book as powerful as yours?
Oh, it was kind of fun. It was a little weepy at times, but in the end, I said, wow, that was pretty good. You know, you did a good job because, again, my goal was to be an Olympian, but I traveled and got on award stands in foreign countries, and won money, did commercials. I mean, I did things that were really fun, and I look back and think, okay, that was still a great run. So.
Oh, that's so awesome. And during the writing process, like, did you have like a favorite spot in your house where I'm like, I'm gonna sit here and this is my spot where I'm gonna write my book? Or like, did you do any like rituals where like I'm gonna like listen to my favorite song, get myself in the headspace? Like, did you do anything to really get yourself excited about the journey?
Actually, yes. I have my little office. I cleaned up and made it look like an office down in the basement, and my dog always came either sat over there or over in his bed, and that was my go-to in front of the computer with the window. So yes, that was my spot to do my writing. And I had an editor, thank goodness, who helped direct me. Like, Lisa, you can't say that. That's too much. You're still alive. You can't do that. And so I had to bring it back to focus, and so I didn't get litigated against.
Right.
So it was my spot was where my brain kind of opened up, and I could put things on paper, and it was very cathartic.
Oh, and that's amazing. It's always good to just write down your thoughts, even if it's like in a book, in a journal, or even in your notes app, which always comes in handy too.
That's right. And so for years, I kept a journal. So literally, I have boxes of like two big boxes, or kind of big, of journals. So I used to write in after the end of each day, and this went on from college all the way until the late 90s. And I referred to those as I wrote the book. So everything is completely accurate, from my emotions to my 175 pounds at pregnancy, at max, everything's in that book, in my journals, and it's all accurate. So
that's so awesome. And so you ran the Fifth Avenue Mile, which was amazing that you won it twice, in 1991 and 1999. What was it like coming back to that race and winning that race twice? And also, what made that race so special to you?
Well, the span of it was one thing. I look back and think, oh my gosh, it's pretty amazing. So, because the 91 was fresh off of the Pan American Games. So I was young and sharp and fast and fit. So it was like, I'm getting you. And I was ready to go in 91. In 99, I was like, okay, I'm here at the Fifth Avenue Mile. There's a lot of big runners here. I want to see what I can do. And I was very tactical. It was a very windy day that day, and you're going straight into the wind, so I knew I wasn't going to be in the front because you're running into wind, so I tacticked myself back behind people, and I waited until a certain amount of time to go, and then I went. So I had learned a lot in those 8 years or so, and so my second win at Fifth Avenue was a brain win.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And you're still doing so amazing now, running races, and you're still competing at the highest level too. So do you feel like the competition has changed so much with the 1500 meter time being the most popular races, especially and for women's runners, getting faster every year? Like, do you think it's definitely changed so much? And if so, like, what do you think from your experience? Why is it being so fast? Like, what do you think really changed in the running community, the pro community?
Well, from the 90s onward, you have the access of information. So that's one big jump, was when people can find out what other people do for training. That was how that first boost. Now it's technology and footwear. It's absolutely amazing. And I've had that privilege of being fit for so many years that I can literally get back on that track and feel the difference. Whereas people who didn't wear the spikes of 1992 don't understand it. But when I put the spikes on of 2026, oh my gosh. Okay, what a difference. So that scientifically and logically is big difference when I run. I mean, I can go out there today at my age and run 33 seconds in the 200 meters at my age, 60. Mm-hmm. And which is with those old shoes, I wouldn't be able to do that. Right. So footwear, surface has made a big boost in track and field.
That's awesome. And really simple but fun question. Like, what do you love to eat when you're just needing and crave something for breakfast, lunch, dinner, especially in your training? Like, I love like good quick oatmeal with like some berries and some fresh fruits. Like, is there a specific food that you're like, this is what I eat for breakfast and lunch and dinner, can't change it in my cycle? But also like I have some of my special like treats that I love to eat too as well.
Okay, yes. So I love the natural the fig bars.
Oh yeah.
I do
Yes.
fig bars and oat milk and the little beef sticks. Sorry.
Oh, the B6. Yes, I love those too. Yes.
But that's
No.
what I do. I figured out the protein need and all that, and I can't do dairy milk. I do oat milk.
Oh, that's so interesting. Oh, I love that. And what is your favorite like fun race to do? Like, I just want to go out there, see what I can do, and the environment is just amazing. Like, what is your favorite race to do for fun?
Okay, so I don't sound crazy, but my recent crazy love race is the Boston Marathon. Okay, because it's, oh my gosh, first of all,
Yes.
they are so nutty about that marathon.
Yes. Yes.
And then you have to qualify to get in there, and you have to get accepted. Okay, so I like that element of it, that I did qualify. I don't run that super fast, but hey, I'm 60, and I still got in there, and that it's the people on the street are so good. Everybody in that race is like, are you kidding me? So I'm running past these guys like, what? How old is he? As he flies by me. So it's just one of those, the garb, what do you call it? The swag.
Oh,
is really
yes.
nice.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
That has been my fun race. It's hell for me to train for.
Yes.
Because I'm not a distance runner, a
Right.
true distance runner. But I did a couple 20-mile, I did one 20-miler last January or February to get ready for. I do some 18-milers. It's a whole day thing for me. Not really. It takes me a few hours. But anyway.
Right.
But it's hard for me. It's not, because I don't have
Yes.
those kind of muscles.
Yes. Yeah. And why do you think, like, for long distance runners, because, like, on our Light Horse Track Club, we have so many amazing long distance runners. I mean, we have people on our team that they can run, like, from one point of the WNOD to the end, which I think is amazing. So, like, what do you think makes distance runners in the best way so crazy enough to be like, I'm going to go run 25 miles and it's going to be the best day of my life?
It's got to be those, what do you call those things, the endorphins. There's something in distance running that truly does pull you. I mean, even though I heard afterwards, like, yeah, I did it, you know.
Yes,
It's an accomplishment. I get my stuff, my gels, how many do I need? You know, what should I wear? It's too many layers. How's that shoe doing? I mean, the whole entirety of it is what is so drawing to people, I think, for me anyway. And so after you've done it, you're accomplished. Oh yeah, hold on, I just did a 16-miler, you know.
Yes.
You feel like you've done
Yes.
something, and you have. And you stay reasonably healthy, leanish if you can. If you're not crazy about what you eat, you can stay pretty healthy.
And in 1998, you were one of the only 24 women to break 4:30 in the mile, which is insane. It's so awesome. What was that feeling like, making history, and to this day still being part of history?
Okay, so that was at the games in New Randall's. That was at the Goodwill Games. I was on a track with 10 or 11 of the best milers in the world, and a couple Americans in a European field, and the gun went off and I was in the back. So I just hung on. That was when I was going through my divorce, working at the running store, and I trained on part-time basis. I was happy to be there, but when you get into a track like that at night, it was in July, but it was a decent temperature, and the gun goes off, and the person in front is going for it. He was an Olympian. I forget her name, Mastakova. I just followed the trail, followed the women, and hugged the pole, and just watched the clock, not my watch, and moved it in. That was being fit, good element, good surface, good track, good competition. That's what happens.
That's so awesome. And did you feel like your life changed in any way? Like, were there a lot of really cool things that came your way, like shoe deals, brand deals, like all those cool things that came? 'Cause
No.
that's so awesome.
Sorry.
But that's good to know. No, and I love the realness. Like,
No.
that's why I always ask.
Sometimes you get lucky and you have that, depending on who you are or who you know. But I ran into an issue during that time because I was already in my mid-30s at that time. I had a child also. So companies aren't going to start trying to sponsor someone who's 30ish with a kid because it's just,
Right.
so it didn't happen. I had some coaching prospects, but no, I still had to go back to work and I had to go run road races to make money.
And that's so awesome. And I love that like runners have that duality of we have a full-time job but can run a Boston Marathon, or people like you that can be an amazing mother and have two amazing kids and then still also be an amazing runner and training super hard. So do you feel like motherhood really taught you a lot as well about just kind of like how to see the world a different way and also help with your training too?
It reinforced how important it is to have good nutrition. She ate well, I ate well. Sleep was real important. And I could schedule better because you have to stay with the schedule with the kid.
Right.
So yeah, it did reinforce me and to her. My daughter was my first marriage, but then I didn't have my son until later, in my second marriage.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love that. And I wanted to open up if anyone has any questions at all for Alisa.
Well, the interesting thing about back in the 80s and 90s is that sports nutrition was not as on point as it is now, where you can go to the store and get this, that, and the other. So I always, again, back in my high school days, early 80s, I knew how to eat, and I didn't have the extra money for the frivolous stuff. So my money went towards what I needed. Chicken salad, oranges, lots of milk when I could drink milk, and yogurt. So I always ate good food because I knew 1 and 1 equals 2. Because of my heat stroke and that issue, it taught me a lot about taking care of the body. I didn't want to go there again. So I knew I had to hydrate well, which meant some kind of sodium, some kind of potassium, I figured out the electrolytes, and I made it a point to continue to take vitamins because I needed electrolytes so I didn't have a heat stroke again. So that's kind of was my self-taught, my own trainer nutritionist. From the library and from books. And again, because still in the 90s, I didn't have access to a computer. I was behind the times because I was still being an elite and money was low, so I didn't get a computer until the early 2000s and didn't get email then. So I was still booking it and reading things and magazines and articles and stuff. So.
Anyone else? Any questions at all? Yes.
Just, I'm looking at the guns here.
Yes.
Just as a runner, clearly you've been an amazing runner and coach as well. What do you think, what are some of the most important things for a runner? What sort of strength things should we do as runners to have that overall strength, which we tend to, some of us tend to avoid?
Okay, that's a good one because I came from a background of gymnastics and I learned that there was something to that. I didn't figure it out until years later, but the gymnastics core strength was critical. So what I've always had, even back in the 90s, 2000s, I've always had a Roman chair in my house or garage where I would always do pull-ups. I always done pull-ups because I did pull-ups when I was a high schooler and I've always done leg raises because leg raises when I was a gymnast. So I've always done pull-ups and push-ups and leg raises. And those are my 3 big exercises because it gets the abdominal core and the arms and the pull-ups and the back. And then the leg raises gets the whole quads and all that. Occasionally, when I had the gym membership, I do the gym and go to machinery. But truly, throughout my career, it's been just a pull-up bar, push-ups, and all kinds of abdominal exercises, bicycles and things. And when I went away from that about 10 years ago, in my 50s, I felt it. I was weaker. So I had to go back, like 58, back to doing pull-ups and crunches and stuff, and I got back to it. So I definitely believe that you need to stick with that kind of core. You don't have to go to the gym, maybe, but if you can't, but definitely do those few things. Yeah.
Awesome. And we have an Alisa Harvey 800 tomorrow, an inaugural 800 named after you, which we're super excited for at Run Unbridled. How does that feel to not only run at your one of those schools that you're very familiar with, George Mason University, and right in the hub of running community, Fairfax, Virginia? How does it feel to be back at George Mason, not only run in the race, but run in a race named after you?
Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Thank you, Dustin. It is just, for me, that is where literally when I was a high schooler in the summertime between my junior and senior year, I would take my bicycle. No, I walked. I walked from across from the street from Woodson High School all the way to the track at George Mason, and I do my track workouts there because we had a little Pinnacle track club for little high schoolers. And then the track was completely covered with trees. Believe it or not, there's trees all around the track. And we did workouts, and I did my first college level workouts there and such. And so from then I went to college, and I'd come back to Mason and do the mobile one, the big old huge televised track meets inside on the flat indoor track. And then I'd became an elite, lived in California, and come back to George Mason and do a few indoor meets. And then I went in the 2002, I coached at George Mason for a couple years, and then I've been training there since my 40s. I remember I trained at George Mason's track on the outside in the cold of January, a few weeks before I went up to Boston to run the indoor Open Nationals and finished into the finals. At age 41, I ran 2:05. So George Mason's track has been with me for years, decades, and so it's really nice to come full circle.
Yes.
To George Mason.
Absolutely. I think having this organization and having Run Unbridled, and we had a very successful down the stretch track meet. Even with the rain, it was so successful, and we are just doing everything to bring it all together. I think is so full circle, and for me, it's definitely full circle because I went to school in Paul VI Catholic High School, and I would always either be at George Mason or at Episcopal High School, and so it's everything is all coming together. And Lighthorse came in when graduated college, needed a space to keep running because didn't really want to run by myself, and look at it's taking me. So what would you say to the women like me that really love to see more importantly women of color succeeding in the running community where it's still very far in between, and then also just young girls that are discovering the sport in Girls on the Run, in track clubs, within the summer programs, through local running stores? What is your best advice for them on just loving the sport, finding the sport, but also don't get too caught into it too early. Just have fun with it.
Well, I definitely like the idea of the groups, and I think one thing that's kept me going for so many years was the races. It always keeps you. A 5K, even though you're maybe training for the mile or even 800, keeping involved in the competitive nature of sport keeps you in there. So it may be like a Thanksgiving thing. Like if you're going Thanksgiving, maybe you're in another town, do a 5K. That's how I always stayed in this so long, is by I always keep my feet in the competitive pool. You enjoy running, but find other aspects of it. Also find someone who's kind of a mentor. For females, a female would be even better because there's all kind of extra issues being a female runner. And I'm glad to see things changing, seeing more African American women getting into sport, because years ago I was the only one, and so now I'm seeing a lot more African American women involved in sport. And I think that having more avenues, track clubs, races, things like that, helps it out a lot.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Alisa, for being here. Thank you so much for being at a race tomorrow, for always showing up in the running community for everyone, for making track back in the DMV and making it super fun to be a local Virginian. And so thank you so much, and super excited for tomorrow. And if you still need a ticket, there's tickets still available. If you want to come and run the 800, still you're able, you can watch, so please come out. It's definitely worth it, and I definitely think it's definitely an experience, and it's gonna be such a fun day. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.